Welcome to twoquestions.tv. With me today is Piyush Patel, and we're talking about leading a tribe. Welcome to twoquestions.tv. I'm Susan Baroncini-Moe. Joining me today is Piyush Patel, a school teacher turned animator who founded Digital-Tutors, the foremost digital animation training company for the film and gaming industries, with clients like LucasArts, Pixar, Electronic Arts, Blizzard, and Disney. After turning $54 into a multi-million-dollar exit, he now works with company leaders to create cultures that matter. He's also the author of this book, Lead Your Tribe, Love Your Work, An Entrepreneur's Guide to Creating a Culture That Matters. Hi, Piyush. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Susan, for having me.
Your book, this book, it's fantastic. I mean, I loved it. You have everything in there: team building, recognition, making a real difference, and it's so beautifully organized. I wanted to work for Digital Tutors, and I haven't worked for anybody else in the last 20 years.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah, I was like, maybe I should investigate this company. But I haven't wanted to work for anybody in ages. But the book is clearly, I think, more than any book I've read in a really long time, clearly a labor of love. I can tell when an author loves what he's writing about, and there's no question. You wrote so lovingly about your tribe and about crafting this concept, this culture. And you say in the book that the owner's values become the company's values. Do you think it takes a special person to create a really special culture like this? Or can someone evolve into the kind of person who creates such a thing?
I think it's a company is really a reflection of people. So if you have a small family business, this was business with my wife and I, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we did this in the spare bedroom of our house, and we had just a small group of little employees that would help, when we needed help. And it started to get bigger and bigger, and really it became, what are we going to believe in?
Mm-hmm.
Right? I mean, if we're going to say, oh, our core value is honesty, but we lie to every customer, then just be open and go, we lie to all the customers, and you will attract really good liars to come work for you, right?
Right.
But what happens is when you say, oh, we're all about honesty and we lie to our customers, but you attract people who want to be honest, they're not going to be successful. And
Right.
so we really used it as our litmus test and measure of who are we going to hire, how are we going to treat each other. And we call our core values the rules of the game. We don't really even call them our values. It's just, all great sporting events have rules. We want to have rules for how we're going to treat each other, and we call those our core values. So yeah, I think you don't have to be some, extraordinary leader to have these charismatic values. You just got to ask yourself, and that's what my wife and I did. We went to a bed and breakfast, and I was like, okay, well, what are we going to stand for? What are we not going to stand for? And that's how we defined our core values.
Okay, so I think that makes sense for people who are genuinely good people. I kept thinking this as I read the book. I thought, man, this is probably a lot easier for someone who's a really good person, right? Like, you have those values. And you say in the book, it can't be contrived, it can't be aspirational. But maybe somebody's watching this show and they lead a company where they've kind of screwed up the culture, and maybe they didn't know it was important, or they didn't know how. But now, like you said in the book, I did think it was so interesting. You talked about how you were kind of miserable and you hated going to work and you weren't happy. And that was a sign that your culture was in trouble. And so maybe someone's feeling that way who's watching right now, and they've screwed up their culture. They know they're in trouble. How can that person who maybe doesn't currently have those values, but knows they've done something wrong, how can they get out of trouble and create that culture?
It's a reset button. And you have to be brave enough to say, we're going to do a reset button.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a reset on culture. And, you may lose some people, right? You may lose some really star players in that whole process, but you're gonna move forward in the direction you want to go. And it can't be aspirational. It can't be, oh, we're all about team, but everybody works on their own. It has,
Yeah.
and if that's the case, it's, hey, we're single warriors. That's okay, right? We're gonna do things on our own. No problem. If that's what it is, that's what it should be. It kills me when I walk into places that I consult for, and they're on the wall. You know, they've made a big to-do about designing this beautiful poster, and it's on the wall. And the first question I ask employees is, hey, in the past week, share a story about one of your core values. And then they're like, where are those core values?
Oh no,
Let me think
where's that
about
sign?
it. So it's all, when I talk about building a tribe, it's about the campfire stories. It's about sharing over and over and over the behavior that we want from the people we work with.
Mm-hmm. And I did notice that, and this is sort of a side note. I don't have a question about this. I just noticed something that I thought was so important. I've heard it from there's a couple of companies that are on. You know, there's that big list of, you know, the greatest companies to work. You know, I don't remember who does it, but you know, the best companies to work for in America. And a couple of the guys who run companies in that top 5. They're consistent again and again and again. I've asked them, like, what do you know, how do you get such great people? How do you attract all this talent? How do you make it the greatest place to, and they say they hire on culture. And you talked about that in the book. And I thought that was really telling.
Yeah, I can teach you, I'm confident, I could teach you anything. So if we
You're
were
digital
building,
tutors, I hope
yeah,
so.
if we're building widgets or we're making monsters, we can teach you that. I can't teach you to be a good person.
Right.
Right. I can give you the environment to thrive. I can give you the team who will nurture you. But if you're ultimately just a bad person, right? And I'll be honest with you, I don't think people wake up in the morning and are just total sociopaths where they're like, you know, I'm going to really mess up my job today. I don't think people are like that, right?
Right. Right.
However, if you let it go and you acknowledge, hey, that behavior is just fine. This was my days teaching 6th grade, right? Like, you have lots of little kids, lots of different behaviors, lots of home lives, but we have one goal, right? We got to get through this curriculum. And so how do we create a nurturing, safe place where we can just get through the curriculum? Well, companies are creating projects and jobs and things have to get done. How do we all just get things done?
Yeah.
And that's really what I was trying to teach in the book, of kind of this process to helping people accomplish more things at work with the limited resources that they have, which I think is time. Like, time is really valuable.
Yeah. Yeah. So, okay, we're going to go into a bonus round if that's okay with you.
Okay.
Every once in a while I go rogue and I go over my limit of 2, but so you grew a business from $54 to multiple millions, to great success. And then you left. And for a lot of people, that's a difficult decision to make. That's a difficult transition. So what made you decide to step away from digital tutors, and how did you find meaning in the next part of your life, the next stage?
Wow,
It's a big question. It's like
big,
2 more questions,
that's a
right? I'm sorry.
tough question. So, 2 things. I wanted to build a company that was bigger than me. So I you know, being the owner founder, we had no investors, no debt. It was just my wife and I.
Mm-hmm.
And we got it to 42 employees, 500 contractors, you know, millions of clients all around the world. And I told my wife, I was like, if I get hit by a bus, this whole thing crumbles apart. We can't build that. We have 42 people who rely on us to feed their families. So I really got into, how do we build a company that doesn't need me?
Yeah.
And I woke up one day and I realized it doesn't need me. And just around that time, I was having health issues. So I was really contemplating, like, oh my God, what happens if I really die? Like, something bad happens.
Yeah.
And I got a call from a company called Pluralsight out of Salt Lake City who said, we're going to acquire you. And I thought, well, we're not for sale. And they said, no, we really want to acquire you. We've been watching you. You guys are the best at what you do. We want you. And within like 6 weeks, we closed. And I stayed on for about 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, one of our core values is do the right thing, even if it hurts, right?
Right.
And so I'm walking in, all my employees have a new boss, but I'm the guy who hired them.
Mm-hmm.
And it's confusing and it's hard on them.
Yeah.
And even though I had a great salary and bonuses and all these things that were contracted to me, I had to let those go because it was the right thing for my people.
Mhm.
And so I had to live those core values, right? When I was pressed, I had to live those core values. And if I really believed in them, then I had to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. And in terms of what your next phase was, how did you transition? How did you find meaning next?
So I'm all over the place. I was like, I'm going to write a book. I'm going to go consult. My wife and I have a winery out in Napa called
Oh,
Conclusion Wines. I just bought a brewery. I'm into all kinds of stuff. And really, I'm just trying to find my new purpose in life.
yeah.
And I have found, the book comes out in February, and I'm starting to get booked up on speaking and consulting. And it's just recharged me to go, nobody was there when I started.
Hmm.
Like, I couldn't find anybody to even just tell me, how much do I price this stuff? I'm
Yeah.
not a business guy. I was a teacher. And so the School of Hard Knocks has taught me, we generated $10 million in annual revenue when I exited, and we spent $30,000 in marketing.
Wow.
We
Wow.
figured out content-based marketing and how to really, truly speak to the customer. And if you think about it, 10 million in revenue, selling a $45 product, that's a lot of hustle.
That's a lot of hustle.
Yeah. And with happy customers, right?
Yeah.
Without
Yeah.
begging for people to buy our product. And so we really accomplished something pretty cool
Yeah, you
in
did.
that process.
And I feel like you're on your way to accomplishing more really cool things.
Yes, I'm
Yeah.
hoping so. I really, I spent an entire day yesterday with entrepreneurs, and it just recharges me. It's like, come on, get off your butt. Let's go do this, right? Don't be a entrepreneur. Go be an entrepreneur.
Yes,
Right?
yes, I love it. Well, you've definitely created something really cool in this book. Thank you so much. And
Thank you.
I'm so happy to have had an opportunity to read it. It's a wonderful book, and it's going on my official most recommended list. So,
Awesome. Well, I
yeah.
feel honored. Thank you.
Piyush, thank you so much for joining me today.
My pleasure.
All right, viewers, here's the book, Lead Your Tribe, Love Your Work. We're going to have details to Amazon below in the show notes for today so you can get your copy. And again, on my most recommended list is one of my favorites for the year. Okay, the year's new, okay, but this is going to be one of my favorites for the whole year. So make sure you get your copy. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.